Hunt for the Skinwalker, the scientific investigation of Utah's most paranormal ranch, a biochemist and journalist, spent 8 years documenting phenomena that defied explanation on a Utah ranch with a terrifying history. In the remote expanse of Utah's Uinta Basin, approximately 200 miles east of Salt Lake City, lies a property that has become synonymous with the inexplicable. For 8 years, from the mid-1990s through the early 2000s, this 512-acre cattle ranch serves as the focal point of what may be the most scientifically rigorous investigation of paranormal phenomena ever conducted on American soil. The results of that investigation, published in 2005 as Hunt for the Skinwalker, represent a collaboration between two men whose combined credentials bring unprecedented authority to a field often dismissed by mainstream science. Colm Kelleher holds a PhD in biochemistry. His academic background positions him firmly within the scientific establishment, trained in laboratory protocols, peer review standards, and the systematic collection of empirical data. Knapp carries multiple Emmy Awards for investigative journalism. His career builds on source verification, documentation standards, and the journalistic principle of independent corroboration. Together, these two men produce a documented account that applies both scientific and journalistic rigor to phenomena that resist conventional explanation. The property at the center of their investigation sits within a region long known to indigenous peoples as a place of profound danger. The Ute tribe, whose ancestral lands include this basin, possesses oral traditions warning against the area. Tribal members interviewed by Knapp describe the land as a pathway for what they call the Skinwalker, a malevolent entity from Navajo tradition that represents one of the darkest elements in indigenous supernatural belief. The Ute elders make clear in their testimony that they avoid this specific tract of land, even as they utilize surrounding areas for traditional purposes. The modern documented history of anomalous activity on the property begins with the Sherman family, who purchased the ranch in 1994. Within months of their arrival, the Shermans begin experiencing incidents that escalate from merely strange to genuinely threatening. Their cattle, the economic foundation of their ranching operation, begin to disappear or turn up dead under circumstances that defy conventional explanation. The mutilations display characteristics documented in hundreds of similar cases across the American West. Precise surgical cuts, removal of specific organs, complete absence of blood, and no tracks or disturbance in the surrounding soil. Terry Sherman, the family patriarch, encounters a creature during daylight hours that he initially identifies as a wolf. The animal appears substantially larger than any known wolf species in North America. Sherman fires multiple rounds from a rifle at close range. The creature shows no reaction to the impacts, no blood appears. The animal simply walks away, unaffected by wounds that would have immediately dropped any known predator. Sherman follows the tracks in the soil until they abruptly stop, as though the creature simply ceases to exist mid-stride. The Sherman family experiences phenomena inside their home as well. Objects move without physical contact. Voices emanate from empty rooms. The family's dogs react with terror to presences the humans cannot perceive, cowering in corners or refusing to enter certain areas of the property. The psychological toll on the family becomes unsustainable. By 1996, the Shermans make the decision to sell, despite the financial loss such a sale represents. The property's next owner is not a family, but an organization, the National Institute for Discovery Science, known by its acronym NIDS. Founded by Nevada businessman Robert Bigelow, NIDS represents an attempt to apply scientific methodology to phenomena typically relegated to tabloid coverage and amateur investigation. Bigelow recruits a team of credentialed scientists, including Kelleher, and equips them with instrumentation designed to document whatever occurs on the property. What follows is 8 years of systematic observation, documentation, and analysis. The NIDS team installs video surveillance equipment, motion sensors, electromagnetic field detectors, and radiation monitors. They staff the property around the clock, maintaining continuous presence to ensure that any anomalous events receive immediate scientific attention. Kelleher embeds himself in this effort, living on the property for extended periods, experiencing firsthand what previous occupants describe. The documented incidents that Kelleher and Knapp catalogue in their book defy easy categorization. NIDS investigators observe luminous objects in the night sky that maneuver in ways inconsistent with known aircraft or natural phenomena. Video footage captures these orbs, their movements suggesting purposeful navigation rather than random drift. Electromagnetic sensors register spikes in field strength that correspond with visual sightings, providing correlated data from multiple instrument types. One incident, documented with particular detail in the book, involves an investigator's observation of what he describes as a tunnel or portal in the night sky. The phenomenon appears as a circular opening through which a light emanates, distinct from the surrounding darkness. The investigator watches as something moves through this aperture. The observation lasts several minutes before the phenomenon closes, leaving no trace. Other team members, positioned elsewhere on the property, detect electromagnetic anomalies at the same time, providing independent verification that something measurable occurs during the visual sighting. The cattle mutilations continue even under NIDS ownership and constant surveillance. Animals kept under observation disappear from fenced enclosures without the gates being opened. Others turn up dead with the characteristic precise incisions and organ removal. NIDS brings in veterinary specialists to conduct forensic analysis on the carcasses. The veterinary reports document cuts made with surgical precision, cauterization of tissue consistent with extremely high heat, and the complete absence of blood in animals whose circulatory systems should contain multiple liters. Perhaps most disturbing among the documented phenomena is what Kelleher and Knapp term the hitchhiker effect. Multiple NIDS investigators report that anomalous activity follows them when they leave the ranch. Objects in their homes move without explanation. Family members experience sightings of figures that vanish when approached. Electronics malfunction in patterns that suggest purposeful interference rather than random failure. The implication, documented through multiple independent reports, suggests that whatever presence inhabits the ranch possesses the capacity to extend its influence beyond geographic boundaries. The psychological impact on investigators receives candid treatment in the book. Kelleher acknowledges that sustained exposure to the ranch's phenomena produces measurable effects on mental state. Sleep disruption becomes common among team members. Anxiety levels rise. Some investigators request reassignment away from the property, their professional curiosity overwhelmed by the personal toll of constant exposure to the inexplicable. The indigenous context receives substantial attention in Knapp's reporting. His interviews with Ute tribal members reveal that the phenomena documented by NIDS align with generations of oral tradition. The Ute describe the area as a convergence point, a place where the boundary between the physical world and other realms grows thin. Their traditions prescribe specific protocols for avoiding the area, wisdom passed down through centuries of experience with forces that resist European scientific categorization. Kelleher's scientific training demands that he approach the phenomena with skepticism and rigor. He designs experiments to test hypotheses. He searches for conventional explanations before accepting anomalous ones. The book documents this process with transparency, showing the reader how each conventional explanation fails to account for the observed data. The presence of electromagnetic anomalies rules out simple misidentification. The correlated observations from multiple instruments and multiple witnesses eliminate individual hallucination. The physical evidence, analyzed in laboratories, demonstrates characteristics that current technology cannot reproduce. The book's conclusion offers no tidy resolution. Kelleher and Knapp explicitly state that 8 years of scientific investigation produces documented evidence of genuine anomalies without producing a definitive explanation. This intellectual honesty distinguishes Hunt for the Skinwalker from sensationalized accounts that claim to solve mysteries they barely understand. The authors present their documentation and acknowledge the limits of their understanding. The impact of their work extends far beyond the book's publication. When the United States government establishes the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, known as AATIP, the program's documentation references the Skinwalker Ranch investigation. The Defense Intelligence Agency's interest in the property validates the serious scientific attention NIDS brought to the phenomena. Jeremy Corbell's 2018 documentary film draws extensively from the Kelleher and Knapp documentation. The History Channel's ongoing series investigating the property treats the book as foundational source material. The dual authorship model proves essential to the book's credibility. Kelleher's scientific credentials provide authority within academic and research communities. Knapp's journalistic reputation provides credibility within investigative and documentary fields. Together, they create a documented account that meets the evidentiary standards of both disciplines, a rare achievement in paranormal literature. The Uinta Basin itself presents a broader context for the ranch's phenomena. The region contains one of the highest documented concentrations of anomalous sighting reports in the United States. Local residents, ranchers, and law enforcement officials provide Knapp with decades of testimony describing lights in the sky, encounters with unknown creatures, and experiences that defy conventional explanation. The ranch, in this context, appears not as an isolated anomaly, but as perhaps the most concentrated manifestation of phenomena that affect the entire region. The book documents specific families beyond the Shermans who experience similar events on adjacent properties. Knapp interviews these witnesses independently, corroborating details without cross-contamination of testimony. The patterns that emerge suggest a phenomenon not confined to a single property, but concentrated there, as though the ranch sits at the epicenter of forces that radiate outward with diminishing intensity. Hunt for the Skinwalker stands as a landmark in paranormal documentation because it refuses to compromise either scientific rigor or journalistic integrity. Kelleher and Knapp present their evidence, acknowledge what remains unexplained, and invite readers to draw their own conclusions from documented facts. The book transforms Skinwalker Ranch from local legend to serious subject of scientific inquiry, a transformation that continues to influence how both mainstream science and popular culture approach the inexplicable. If you found this case compelling, subscribe to Vanishing Roads for more documented paranormal investigations from around the world. This story was created with AI assistance based on documented case files. All events reference real investigations and reported incidents.